has got just such a fascinating story. He is not in your traditional direct marketing sense, or he hasn't been his whole life, but he moved into it, and now he's applying direct marketing. When him and I met, I found the story so fascinating as far as like how he's implementing direct marketing, what he's doing, and anyway, I'm excited about him being here and letting him share with you what he's doing with direct marketing, how he's applying it online, some of the strategies he's used. Um, I think you're going to be able to take away some really good, nice nuggets from him that's going to help you implement what he's done and how he's just grown his business phenomenal. And anyway, so welcome, Ori. I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, glad
Excited
to
you're
be
here.
here.
So, when you first got started, just give us a little bit about your story and how you got started and how what led you here today. So,
Well, it's a funny story. I came from Israel on my ninth birthday and learned to speak English by watching cartoons, so that might explain a lot. I'm a little goofy. But that was the thing, I'm what Dan Kennedy calls, the king of direct marketing, calls serially unemployable. My dad was an entrepreneur, and I had to also be entrepreneurial because I never liked alarm clocks. Um, my definition of success was that I wake up when I want, and if it's nice weather out, I'll go kayaking or jogging or something. And it always irked me that when I'd call my friends out, I'd be like, "Hey, great weather. Let's go for a kayaking session." And they'd be like, "Oh, I can't. I got clients or I gotta be at work." And uh, so I've done a lot of things. My fascination has always been with learning. If anything interests me, I'll dive right in and just find everything about it and just dive right in. And that's going to be a recurring theme. That's something I want to teach you guys because it comes in really useful. So I wanted to be a 3D animator. Well, first I wanted to be an animator, and then 3D came out. I wanted to be a 3D animator. Started learning that. I couldn't really get work doing that though, because I could in California, but I had to come back to South Florida to deal with some stuff, and there just wasn't work. Like the whole industry was in LA, Hollywood, and if you're not there, you're screwed. That was mid 90s, not like today where you can use 3D anywhere for anything. We didn't have the web and YouTube and all this stuff. So it was mostly, needed in music videos, movies, video games, and that kind of stuff. And I figured that I would. They taught us to make CDs and DVDs to send to studios with our resume portfolio, and I was like, well, why? It takes a while to burn. These CDs were slow to burn back then in those days, and I was like, if I make a website, I can update it every time I make a new creation, and then anyone who has my business card can go and see it because it's got the address, and that just made sense to me. I started learning web design to promote my 3D, but it turned out that people didn't really need my 3D services, but everyone's like, "Oh, you do really cool websites. Can you make one for me?" And it turned out that a lot of people were getting held hostage by their web designers. The web designer wouldn't give them their password to go make changes. And granted, back then you had to like know programming, quote unquote. You had to know HTML, JavaScript, and stuff to make changes to a website. But even if you just wanted to swap out a picture or something like that, people were getting billed like from $50 to $200 for like teeny tiny changes that I always thought they could make on their own. And so they would call me in to save them. And sometimes I'd have to hack a website to get their password back and stuff. But um, it was a little humbling. It was a little frustrating that I couldn't get the 3D work because there just wasn't the work there. But all these skills that I learned to promote myself had come in really handy for other people. Now, what I didn't know back then is that that's called marketing. Now, marketing is marketing. You know, whether it's direct sales, direct response, which is phenomenal, or just acting on social media, or just having a conversation with someone. You're always marketing, you're always selling, and every interaction is marketing. I mean, I shaved today, so cleaned it up a little bit. That's a little bit of marketing. Think about going on a date. Is when you start out, you dress up nice, you brush your teeth before you go, you brush your hair, you put some product in. Now 3 weeks later, you're back to jeans and a t-shirt and eating at McDonald's or the local place instead of going to like the fancy steakhouse. But to get their attention initially, you dressed up. It's marketing. It's all marketing. Everything is marketing. And the scary thing is, by the way, I skipped a chapter of how I got here. So I was in South Florida, blah, blah, blah. I was doing photography. I was doing web design. I was doing graphic design. My lease was about to expire. I had a high-rise on the beach. I decided, you know what? I don't feel like renewing here. I never go on the beach except for to do shoots. I didn't feel like moving back in with my parents at 29. That just doesn't sound as cool, and I was kind of fed up with South Florida. Like I said, a lot of my friends just couldn't go and do the things I wanted to do when I wanted to do it because they had work and stuff like that. And I was entrepreneurial. So I said, you know what? I gave away all my stuff except for like a laptop, my car, camera, some clothes, and I went driving. I figured I'd go couch surfing for a little bit, just traveled around completely based on whose couch I'm crashing on next, and I didn't know it, but it ended up taking me 6 years of couch surfing. But while people like to joke around that I was homeless, and technically I was, I got to stay at some really nice places. I mean, it started out as, college students and photographers because photography was my interest at the time. And that's the way I got into internet marketing. I went to a bunch of the conferences on the way, and I really fell in love with it because of the people. There's a lot of people who get into internet marketing that are self-taught. Remember, I said education is a big theme of this, and they're self-taught. They go on YouTube, they read books, they buy courses, they invest in themselves. Like the people that are investing themselves to be on your conference right now, they're investing to better their lives, and I really like those kinds of people. A lot of them have the freedom to go do things, so I would go and do crazy things with these people. I mean, like in 2012, I think it was, I went to Budapest to drive tanks and stuff, then I went to Amsterdam. I was, with marketers and stuff. They got the marketers cruise and all this stuff. But so while technically I was homeless, I was getting to connect with people, and I got to stay with people like Tony Hsieh, the CEO of Zappos.com. I got to stay with UFC cage fighters. I got to stay with, within the internet marketing industry, I got to stay with Perry Belcher, who's one of the best copywriters of all times. I got to stay with Jason Moffat and Matt Basak and like a bunch of other people. They're just awesome people, and I really got to know them this way. Now, part of my internet experience is we're talking marketing. So far all I've told them is that I'm a photographer, a web designer, and a homeless guy. So like, why should they listen to me? Well,
what I find interesting about this, Ori, is if you look at the whole entrepreneur path and how most people get there, most of them are very creative. There's a very creative aspect about the entrepreneur community anyway. And a lot of them evolves into starting off with a hobby, and then they figure out how they can make money with it. And then next thing you know, that replaces any other income they've had, and that's kind of what launches it, And so, like, you're like the epitome of a lot of people and how they get started. Not the couch surfing, and I mean I find that so amazing.
You don't have to be homeless for 6 years to go do your thing, but
the connections it brought you, just by following your path, and so.
Absolutely. And on top of it, while I was driving around the country, my going on the whole time. I mean, Zig Ziglar calls it the university on wheels. He says if you do a standard commute, half an hour to work, half an hour back, 5 days a week, 50 years out of the year, um, within 3 years, if you're listening to audiobooks the whole time, you will have gotten the equivalent of a 2-year college education. Well, I did 6 years. For some days I'm driving 10, 20 hours a day, and I'd also do it while I was jogging, exercising, that kind of stuff. So I just learned tons and tons and tons of stuff, and I highly recommend that to anyone. Audiobooks are phenomenal.
Yeah. So
But
let's.
I was going on my goofy adventures, and one of the things I didn't think of when I took off on my adventure was that I'm going to have to pay bills. I was like, oh yeah. I kind of realized that halfway. I'm like, well, all right, how do I do that? Well, I had a bunch of random skills, and I was just connecting with people, and people needed websites. People needed occasionally photography, and if there was anything else I needed, I had learned through 3D, video editing, which is a fantastic skill. Over my driving with all those audiobooks and all the other courses I purchased and went through at the conferences, I learned all these other internet skills, marketing skills, copywriting, for example. And thus I was, just the people I'd connect with, they just hired me for whatever. But then I was getting sick of it. I'm like, oh, like I got a new bill. I gotta go find a project to pay it. So I was getting sick of having to find projects to pay my bills. I was like, I just want to go on my goofy adventures, jump off bridges, and do silly things, and I don't feel like working. And that sounds real mature there, right? But in order to do that, I was like, all right, well, I'm finally going to do this internet marketing thing for myself instead of doing it for other people. And so I stopped taking on projects, and I started working on my own project, my own product. And
So
there's really cool lessons here. First of all, I made it while I was couch surfing. So you can be homeless and still create your product. From other people's houses, from anywhere you have a Wi-Fi connection, no problem. Second of all is where the product came about. Whoever you are who's watching this, you have your ideas over what you can do, what you can't do, what's going to be a great idea. Sometimes you're out for drinks, or you're going out in nature and you get this great idea and it's going to be the greatest business ever, and you just jump right in, and then you make this product, you spend a year on it or however long and how much money, and then you try to sell it and you can't get anyone to buy it. Kind of a shame. And it might be the greatest product ever, but unless you market it correctly, of course, nobody's going to know. But so what I did for this product, it was called Make WordPress Easy, and it's a course on how to make WordPress sites. I went and contacted people that had giant lists. My friend Kate Buck Jr. had a list. At the time, it was 35,000 people. And, if you want to think that you don't know anyone who's got a giant list of people, then that means you're not going out interacting enough. Go to an industry event. It doesn't have to be an internet marketing event, although those are fun. Whatever industry you're in, or really you can go to random ones. But meet people. People have businesses. So I have a friend who made a health product that is now selling tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of units because he went and met someone who's basically worked with the union for Walgreens pharmacies, and so now they're all involved. It's just find someone who's got a business, lots of people, whatever. Ask what they need. and solve that problem. I asked Kate, I said, Kate, you got all these people. I know you got a great product. I know they love you. Is there anything that you're not crazy about, that they need a lot of help with, but maybe you're not the person, maybe something you're getting sick of explaining? And she said, WordPress. Her audience, and here's the beautiful thing about starting off with a particular person's audience. Charles brought me on here to one of the strengths that I have is copywriting. So, while I'm giving you a well-rounded life and business education, he wanted me to kind of cover a lot of stuff on copywriting, and I will. So, one of the things for copywriting, you have to know your market. You have to know the audience. You want something that they can't help but buy it. Well, to say if you try to, the easiest way to fail is to try and please everybody. So you should know like it's one particular person that you're speaking to, but you gotta know everything about them. What irks them, what makes them happy, what are their pastimes, what are their dreams and hopes. And so I asked Kate, like, well, who are these people who are these 35,000 people who have bought your course? And she said, well, a lot of them are older ladies, and when I say older, I don't mean like old, but like from mid-30s to like early 60s that have either retired already or are going to, or just want additional income. And the way her product was, it was social media management. Basically, you Facebook and Twitter for other people, for companies, and you can charge a whole bunch for it. And it doesn't require any fancy technological skills. You just need a phone or a laptop, and you can do this from a coffee shop. Right. So she got a lot of people who are very not technical, but one of the skills that's recommended is to have a website for yourself, at least, to promote your skills. So you look professional when you give a business card and so on. And I said, all right, so she had a WordPress section in her course, but she just kept getting questions about it that she just was starting to pull her hair out about. They're just things that seemed obvious and so on. So I said, all right, so it's people who are non-technical, who are older, who are maybe intimidated by technology, and they're probably scared to ask questions because they don't want, like teenagers making fun of them or yelling at them like, look, I already covered this. I said, so I'm going to make this for like a 65-year-old lady, and I'm going to make it so it feels to them like I am there holding their hand and patting them on the back, and I'm gentle, and, and I convey that there are no stupid questions, things like that. And so now I knew who I was writing for. And the other thing, I already told you guys my I already told you my story. I was couch surfing and all this stuff. Well, the other thing about that is where most people would be, maybe embarrassed about being homeless. I know my parents were embarrassed that what's your son do? Oh, he's homeless. They'd be like, hey, he's a web designer. He's a photographer. I'm like, dude, you're living at the best part. Whoever you are, whatever you are, leverage that. It's a strength. It makes you interesting. I got to tell my story about how I was trying to make sure that my friends weren't being held hostage or taken advantage of by a web designer. That's another thing that, like, business people, a lot of people in Kate's product were clients of Ryan Dice's and stuff. So there's a lot of people who are basically new to internet marketing. A lot of her people would overlap with the internet marketing crowd. It was social media management, but then it's the gateway drug. Then you start with one thing and then you start buying other products and so on. You start with a Dane Kennedy product, next thing you know you're into Jay Abraham and John Carlton and so on and so on. So
I actually bought Kate's product actually. So when she released it, so I absolutely understand what her product is about. So as you're mentioning it,
yeah,
so,
perfect.
so
And it was a great product. It changed people's
it
lives.
was a very good product. So
And but by knowing, so basically, I had someone who's afraid of technology, is not very, and is going to get into internet marketing. So I could overlap it a little bit to internet marketers in general that are new and not technical. And so that was my goal. That's one of the things you have to have in all sales marketing. Like, what's your USP? What's your unique selling proposition? Basically, what makes you stand out? Why should I get your product instead of someone else? And when I say product, obviously I mean product or service, whatever it is that you do. And, like I said earlier with the dating example, that would be, why should I date you instead of the billions of other people out there? And, I mean, saying, well, I was homeless for 6 years doesn't necessarily, do that. But when you spin that and spin,
convey the adventure. Now that sounds extremely exciting, right?
well, now you say, look, I was able to do this for 6 years without a problem from my laptop and still generate business. And I can show you how to do that. So you look at anything that might sound like a weakness, you can turn your weaknesses are fantastic. In fact, when you're telling a story, if you don't have your failure, like when you hit rock bottom, it often doesn't sound as good and people don't trust you as much. And so having those weak points, I get to tell the story about how when I launched this product, I told you to stop taking on projects. Well, I was down to like no money. I was driving from California to Austin to do the actual last leg of the launch, like to actually launch this thing. And I had a tire blowout. Then I had another tire blowout, and I got them fixed. And I didn't even have gas money now, but I drove anyways, and I call a friend of mine who owed me, I think like $135 2 days later. We had a schedule, and I was like, hey, any chance you could PayPal me that tonight? He says, well, I'm at a mastermind. Can I do it in the morning? I said, no. You can't. I said, I'll tell you what, though. I just used up the last of my money to fill up gas, so I have about 180, 200 miles before I gotta fill up again. So let's say it this way. When you get home from your mastermind, but before you go to bed, he's like, oh, I'll see what I can do. And I go to Taco Bell. It's now midnight. The only things open are Taco Bell and McDonald's, and I'm like, I'm hungry, and I look at the Taco Bell menu and I don't like their dollar menu, so I go across the street to McDonald's, and all I can order is 3 McChicken sandwiches. They're off the dollar menu, and I forgot about tax. So the guy tells me it's like $3.24 or $3.18 or something like that, and all I had was $3 bills. That's the last of my money. And I hand him the $3, and I'm sitting there pretending to be rummaging through my ashtray and thing, looking for change. And finally, he just takes the $3, goes back in the window, and I get it. So I stole 18 cents from McDonald's, basically. I couldn't even afford stuff from the freaking dollar menu.
So talk about now that you get to Austin, right?
Well, I got to a gas station, and I didn't even know if I had the money. I used my PayPal debit card, and thankfully Rob had PayPal'd me. So I was like doing a little happy dance at 3 in the morning in the middle of nowhere, and I made it to Austin.
Uh-huh.
We launch, and
So
It
this is you
was
and Kate launching. The two of you are launching at this point, right?
yeah, and I it was going to Kate's list, and I it went awesome. I mean, there's all sorts of glitches, but and I had to compensate for that. There was a good lesson there. There was the the fact that none of the people that signed up for the first 8 hours or so got like they got the registration email,
Uh-huh.
but they couldn't log in. Like it didn't actually create the account. So
Oh,
when you have a problem, that's an opportunity.
it
You know,
is
I got a lot
absolutely.
of angry emails and voicemails. I manually set up the account, and then I called each person personally.
Which built a
And
huge rapport with them, I'm sure, that you took the time to
when
do that.
when I said, hey, you know, Charles, is Charles there? Yeah, this is Charles. Hey, this is Ori, the guy from the video. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, why are you calling me? Well, you know, I got your voicemail. You know, I'm sorry, there was a glitch. It was my fault, you know, but I've gone ahead and personally set up your account. Please try it now. If there's any issues, you know, here's my personal cell phone.
Oh, that's
Now
awesome.
everyone, instead of going, man, I bought this product and it's crap, I can't even log in. Now they're going and telling other people, like, oh my God, I couldn't log in, and then the guy who made the thing called me up. You know, it was amazing, and you know, I was just chit chatting with them. Like they're people, and that's a great lesson right there. Look, uh, if if you're contacting someone, if you're you know, and when you say contact, I don't just mean like necessarily email. I mean like your emails, your opt-in, your autoresponder sequences. If you're speaking on stage, if you're giving a webinar, if you have a video sales letter, however you contact them, if you just see them as like, hey, here's a person who might buy from me, and that's all you see, they're gonna feel that, and you know they might get your product, they might not. But if you see them as a person, you know, who's cool, who's got needs, who has things they like, who has problems, who has achievements, who's got their own stories, you'll connect with them. You know, and that's I have no problem sharing like all my rock bottom stories with people. I share all my crazy stuff that would usually, you know, a lot of it has shock values. You know what I mean? I played bull poker in the, which is four people sit around a small card table and they let a pissed off bull into their arena, and you know who the last person out of their seat wins. And if the bull hits you, well, you know, just people connect with me like I'm not just a WordPress guy. And you know, on Facebook, they follow me to see what shenanigans I get into next. You know, now I've taken up art and I post my daily work of art, which brings me to the next very important lesson that I highly recommend. Look, if you're here, then I would place really good money that you've already bought at least one internet marketing course. Realistically, probably a good couple thousand, if not more, dollars worth. You've gone to some conferences, you've gotten books, you got all these ideas of all these things you're going to do, and you possibly have, but possibly have not, implemented every single thing in every single one of those courses, possibly even have not implemented anything.
Yep.
I'll tell you, you're not alone, because while my course sold thousands of units, and I even got the Rookie Marketer of the Year award at the Traffic and Conversion Summit for my product, and all that good stuff. It took me about 5 years of doing all the different skills for other people before I said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do my own.
Yep.
Actually, I should say 4 years. The fifth year, I sat around, I'm going to make my product, like many of you have said. I'm going to make my online thing, or I'm going to start using the stuff that Dan Kennedy taught me or whatever, and you don't do it. Well, the way I do it, the ultimate skill, the ultimate superpower that gets you to actually complete things is accountability. And I don't mean someone who's going to be nice to you and say, oh, it's okay, you can take today off, like that workout partner you got that also stopped working out when you did, and then you guys were like, well, and then neither one of you is going to the gym now. I mean someone who you give permission to publicly humiliate you, or whatever motivates you, because different things motivate different people. You know you pretty well. So for me, that was Kate. Because I had told her that I'm going to make this product for her and her people, and because she's a friend, I asked her to hold me accountable and do what it takes. And perfectionism, yes, that was a dramatic pause there for emphasis, is the most dangerous forms of procrastination. Oh, my course isn't good enough, my book isn't good enough, I want to make it better, and then you end up never launching.
What happens, yeah.
And because I had an accountability partner, Kate busted my chops. She was like, all right, how's the course going? She'd keep asking me every couple of weeks, oh, it's pretty good, I got this done, I got that done, and then she finally said, look, when's it going to be done? So if you have a real deadline that's set in stone, that without a deadline, your business idea, your implementation thing, it's just a dream. They say goals are dreams with deadlines. So have a deadline and have someone who's going to hold you accountable to it. Kate was asking me, like, all right, what's left? I'm like, oh, I got a few videos. She got specific. Specificity is very good, both in copywriting and in accountability. She's like, how many videos? And I'm like, a few. How many? And I actually started counting. There was like 12 videos left. And she said, all right, you're not allowed to do any animation on them. Again, perfectionism, and with my video editing and graphics and 3D background, my course had cool opening graphics for each video. She's like, no animations on these 12 videos. In fact, you have to teach them in Jing. Jing, as compared to Camtasia or ScreenFlow, has a 5-minute recording limit. So these videos I have to do with no video editing, no fancy animation, and I have a 5-minute limit on each one. And you know what? I finally got the course done, and we were able to launch it. And I made like money while I was sleeping. My first launch, I actually had. I started keeping track of what I was making money doing. It was like, and I had everything other than like having sex and taking a shower. I'm like, okay, now I gotta do another launch, and I gotta find someone who will do those two things with me, so I can just check that off. But like my life changed because I finally got over those fears, and I actually like implemented because someone held me accountable and busted my chops. And you want to know the funny thing, Charles, and you watching this, how many comments have in the 3.5 years that my product has been out, how many people do you think have told me that these videos here don't have any graphics in them, like any fancy graphics, as compared to the other like 50 videos or whatever that do have like audio and like animation and stuff?
I would say 0, maybe
You'd
10.
be correct. In round numbers, 0.
Yeah, so
that whole perfectionism thing, it's in your head.
And most of it is you're looking at it and you don't even, like you're analyzing it, but people don't know what you're missing because they're not the one creating it. So you're the hardest critic, and even when you put it out there, you'll always be the hardest critic on it.
Well, and an additional lesson is like people Well, yeah, people do want presentability. They want, to feel like they got their money's worth, like it's not just thrown together, something, something, something.
Yes.
They don't care how pretty it is. They want it to solve their pain, the thing that's keeping them up at night. All these social media managers, all these internet marketers who are being taken advantage of by a web designer and just want to make their own changes without being dinged for each one, or they want to help that special someone make that website, or whatever. They don't care if your course is pretty. They just care that they can make a website. That's it. Dan Kennedy, he used to sell these little photocopy paper, like 4-page flyers, basically, to chiropractors for like $13,000. It it didn't matter what it looked like. In fact, if you study copywriting heavily, then there's the advocates for the ugly sales letter, the squeeze page that looks, it's got some typos, it doesn't have fancy graphics, it's all this stuff. And some of that is about trust. It's like, well, you go to a Hollywood movie and it's got all the effects, of course, but you're not going to trust it. It's like, with this, it's like, oh look, it's something that a real person made. That's for you to split test. Split testing is something that you got to test with everything. I split tested my price on that WordPress course, and it made a huge difference.
Talk about that a little bit more, Ori. So when you were split testing, like, what are some of the prices that you tested?
Well,
Results you got from those tests, and ultimately, how did it lead to your final decision? So,
now, I don't. I often don't do things like other people. I mean, I'm kind of a freak like that, and it's made for some funny stories. You shouldn't. You should not necessarily split test during a launch. If you go and have an affiliate and you tell them, well, I don't have my numbers or this and that, like, that's not good. They'll often be upset. They're like your guinea pig. If they're a friend of yours, you can pull this off, but you should buy traffic to test this, or however you get your traffic. But don't burn an affiliate. That said, the night before my launch, I borrowed friends' computers because my sales letter was about half an hour, and I had to re-render it 4 times for these different prices. I tried $97, $77, $47, and 2 payments of $47. And I really didn't want to put $47 in there. I didn't want to have it in the split testing. But if you're going to get that many more sales because something costs less, then it might be worth it, because you just might not get those clients. And you can also have the course has some affiliate links inside of it, and you can send affiliate promotions later on, and all this good stuff. So there's more money. So now I give you those numbers. 47, 2 payments of 47, which comes out to what, 94. There's 4 kinds of people in this world: those that can do math and those who can't. So there was $77 and there was $97. Which one do you think did the best?
I would say either the 97 or the 2 payments of 47 is what I would.
You're good, man. The 2 payments of $47 did the best. It outdid, even though it's twice as much, it sold, I think, like 30% more than one payment of $47, which doesn't really make sense. And I'm like, I probably could have had a 147 in there, and it probably would have possibly done better. You never know. It's up to you. You can experiment with. You can try 3 payments of 47, or whatever your price is. There's obviously different ways to it, but split testing is really important because there are many sales you might not be getting if you give the wrong price, and the more sales you get, the more people you're going to have. You might not make as much money up front, or you might make more because you're getting more sales, even though it's a lesser amount. But now you have those people in your funnel. And that's the other thing that's really important too. Have a funnel. Before you launch, or even if you have your existing product, project, business, whatever it is, come up with different things that you're going to do that you can sell them. If you only have the one thing, I'm only selling these pens. Just came up with it because I had a pen in my hand. And so, and I'm already selling them, and I've been in business for 10 years, but, I went on this little telesummit, and I thought of something, I saw something that sounded really cool, and now I'm going to start promoting blah, blah, blah. Great. Come up with something else that you can sell. Maybe ink refills, maybe, pen holders, maybe a type of paper to use, maybe, a course on better handwriting, or, maybe one of those. Come up with something. There's always something else that you can sell. I thought of mine absolutely last minute. It was something I didn't even have yet. I had an upsell for $10 recurring for my newsletter, which I'd never written yet, but now I was launching, and I threw it in the last minute. You know what? I had people stay with me. I had that newsletter going for 3 full years, and then I had some people who were there from day one all the way to the end, and bought every issue. Automatically, recurring income is awesome. It's money you can count on. It's money that it's you don't have to create new sales, and each one of those newsletters also had a few affiliate links inside of it, so it would actually generate maybe more than $10. But I literally thought of it like last minute as I was launching. I had to figure out how to add an upsell into my shopping cart, which was not fun. But you should definitely have a funnel, and you should think about your funnel before you launch. If I'd actually taken the time to plan it out a little better, could have made a lot more money. But remember, you want to know who this person is. And
so for your funnel, Ori, explain the funnel you had. Did you have an initial opt-in form to start with, or did they go straight to the WordPress course and then?
Straight to the video sales letter. It was a 23 or 30-minute video sales letter. It was entertaining. Testimonials, social proof. You want that. Now, there's an aspect of copywriting within this. Again, this is you ask for a testimonial. That's not necessarily copywriting, but again, that person that you are presenting this sale to, right? So, I mean, you might not know them personally, but you know who it is that you are targeting, that you are going to sell this for, who's going to be your perfect user. And by the way, it's called customer avatar. If you want to Google how to make a customer avatar, you'll see all sorts of neat stuff. Well, so you figure out who this person is and what they like, what they don't like, and blah, blah, blah. Now remember, in my case, we're talking about a WordPress course, and we decided this person is technologically incompetent, you might say, and a little nervous, And while there are thousands of courses out there already about WordPress, why should they get this one? You know, well, so you get to say that. You can talk
Mhm.
about the other products without being a jerk in your sales copy, whether it's video or written. Um, I said, uh, while there's thousands of other courses on there, they kind of expect you to be a programmer to have to figure it out. They're written and presented in Geek, which you might not be fluent in. So you can talk about that, right? But you saying something, they might not believe. Someone else saying it, they will. That's the difference between PR and advertising. If we go into if I'm at a bar and this hot girl walks in and I say, "Hey, how's it going? My name's Ori, and you know, I'm really funny, and I'm hung like a horse. You want to go home with me?" She may slap me or laugh, or you know, I mean, statistically, someone's bound to say yes eventually. But if I walk into the bar and that girl is there with her friend, and I'm just hanging out, and her friend goes, "Oh my God, that's Ori. I follow him on Facebook. He's a great artist. He's hilarious, and I hear he's hung like a horse. You should go talk to him." She's gonna go talk to me, because you know it's someone else doing that. So if you put an ad in the paper or online, nobody cares. If a journalist on Huffington Post or New York Times, though, writes about you to their audience, or to someone they already trust, now they're going to listen, because it's not you tooting your own horn, it's someone else tooting your horn for you. So testimonials, social proof is really important. It shows your audience that you know someone else has already purchased this, so they're not the first lemming off the cliff. And there's more to it, though. Here's the part that people leave off when they tell you, "Oh, you gotta have social proof." Great, and you do, and I highly recommend it. But you gotta think of the whole thing as a story. The storytelling is a fantastic skill. I highly recommend you get some books on it. Winning the story books, winning the story wars, story. There's a bunch of them. Whatever. You're telling a story. My story is that I'm a goofball. I, you know, was making websites while I was on the road, and I've helped a lot of people out, and I have now made the easiest WordPress course out there that's going to keep you from getting taken advantage of, and is going to let you set up your own business and blah blah blah. Well, I got these testimonials. I got this social proof. If I just threw a bunch of random ones and said that, "Hey, Ori's course is really good," well, that's good. That's, you know, helps. That helps. But you got to think again. Who is it out there? So they want to see people like themselves, and they want things that tell them that this truly is easy. So the very first testimonial in my course is, you know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, if you can take, and I say picture as a metaphor this time. Remember, my thing is that this is the easiest course. First testimonial in my video is a 9-year-old girl that only has one hand
Wow.
and is making WordPress sites.
Wow. That's
And you
crazy.
know
That's awesome. I mean,
that
future proof of
Perry
that.
Belcher said, he's like, or you don't even need a video sales letter. You can just put that testimonial in a buy button, and you'd probably sell more videos and more of these courses. You know, because
Yeah,
that's the
that's
epitome.
awesome.
That testimonial makes the statement for me. You know, like you can't help but think, oh well, if a 9-year-old girl with one hand can do it, I can do it. You know, it doesn't matter what age you are, you're going to think that unless you're 8. But the other thing is, you're going to ask people for testimonials. Always ask people for testimonials. Anyone who buys from you, you should ask for testimonials and ask for referrals. But when you do, you know, they might be, video works the best, so I always try to get video testimonials, but they're going to tell you, oh yeah, and they're going to make, oftentimes you're going to suck. It's not going to be so you can direct them a little bit, you can guide them, you can drop some hints, be like, hey, could you mention how you blah blah, could you mention how this really was the easiest thing, or you can ask them, so tell me, what have you done with the course so far? How has it, who are you? What was your situation before? Why did you get the course, or product or service? Insert yours here. And what has it done for you? What's your life look like now? And if you were recommending this to your mother, what would you tell her? There's a couple of questions that you should like pause this and write those down, because those are really useful. But you can direct them, and then now these people are not just giving a testimonial, they're now telling your story for you. So if you have a video sales letter, like 8 testimonials, and each one re-emphasizes a point that you are telling,
Right.
again, that someone else
overcoming an objective also. If there's an objection they may have, you can strategically put those testimonials into, so it's not you overcoming it, it's a social proof. So
absolutely.
So
I had a testimonial from he sent it to me. I didn't even know that this was going on. He said, it was this guy. He said it was he had been unemployed for 3 months, and he was Christmas was coming up, and he wasn't even going to have the money for the rent, and he didn't know how to tell his wife that, and more than that, he was troubled about telling the kids, trying to figure out how to tell the kids that there's not going to be any presents for Christmas this year, and he didn't have any money, but he had like a little tiny bit left on his credit card, and he bought my course. I made a second course on how to sell website services, because
was that after the fact? Was you
oh
launched
yeah,
based off
that
the
that was
then that was a follow-up course to the ones who had purchased it, essentially.
well, I already had an audience that I
Right.
knew would want it.
Right.
Again, at the beginning, I made the product for Kate's people, but now I had my own people. I had my own
Mhm.
audience of thousands of people, and here's what happened. A lot of them bought my WordPress course and were like, this is fun. This is more fun than my job. And my friends need this. They started doing it for their friends, like I originally had. They started doing it for
Right.
friends. They started doing it for their favorite causes and so on. And they're like, hey, I can charge money for this. And they did. And so some of them like had quit their jobs and started making websites instead. So, but they were charging like only a few $100s, whereas I was like, that's where all the competition is. First of all, for those cheap websites, you're competing with people in India and the Philippines, and college students and stuff. Go charge like a good couple $1,000s, and I'll show you how. And so I
Right.
made a second course on how to sell websites, and I had an audience. Here's another cool thing. I pre-sold it. I told my people I'm going to teach it in a webinar format, so you get to be there live and ask questions and stuff, so you're getting even more value for it. And if you sign up now, you're going to get it for only $97, because you're on it live and you're helping me create it, basically, instead of $197 later. Now you got some urgency, and you get even more value because you get to, so people signed up, and then I made the course. That allowed me to also gauge the kind of interest. Hey guys, if I was going to make a course on how to do this, blah, 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 so you can do your copywriting, you can do your sales before you even have your thing created. Remember I was saying perfectionism and procrastination are dangerous? No, test your idea first. It's great,
So did
And
did that product, is that now part of your funnel as you're selling it going forward?
it was. It definitely was. And so you bought the course for 2 payments of 47, and then you got the upsell for 197. Well, if you got it at the as the OTO, as a one-time offer, then you I think got it for 97. even though it was a standalone for $197, and then you got the recurring $10 a month upsell after that. But that dude got my email about that I'm going to be doing this course, and it's going to be $97 to sign up. You know, he didn't have the money. He put it on his credit card, and because he was highly motivated, because he really wanted to make his rent, he took the things I said, like during the week 1 of the course, which was on selling it. And he had just gotten my WordPress course recently. He barely knew how to make WordPress sites yet. And he just went and he sold it. He went to a party and he found 3 people to sell sites for. So he had $7,400. He's like, I made more that night than I did, like, you know, on my best months of being employed. And he said it was like in one night he sold that stuff. And he said he took his wife to the spa, he got his kids like an Xbox and bicycles, and the kids didn't even know. I mean, he told his wife obviously how close they dodged a bullet, but
Right.
he told me that he gave me that as a testimonial without me even asking for it. I was like, oh my God, you know. So that was that was my 9-year-old girl with one hand. For the WordPress course, that was, you know, my 9-year-old. That was the equivalent for the website selling course.
That's awesome.
Now I'm doing art, and you know I've kind of shut down the WordPress stuff, my newsletter. I'm actually going to reopen it with Laura Betterly because she's awesome and knows her stuff, is just a great person, and so I know that she'll take care of the brand. And then because another tip that's really good, you know, a lot of people are going to think it's kind of weird, but find your passion, and when you do, guard it ferociously. Don't let anyone take your dream away. For me, that was doing art. It wasn't really a dream. I didn't know that I could be an artist, you know, and make money with it. I never thought of it. It was just, oh, I like to draw. I want to make cool stuff. But, you know, it took like 34 years, 35 years before I went to some galleries, and all of a sudden I just looked around like, why am I not doing this stuff? And it just kind of was like heartbreak. And remember, I told you about accountability. Well, now I'm doing the art. I started drawing again, and that lasted about 2 weeks. I'm like, oh man! And so when I was planning,
Ori, before we jump into this, but like I want to follow up with your art. But I want to go back to your launch again, and
okay.
Because you kind of built up like what you went through to get there, and then you launched with Kate's List, all right, and so you were successful with that. But then talk about what happened after Kate's List. When she launched and she saw it was, you know, people saw it was successful. Talk about that experience and how accountability and how this all builds, you know, like just talk about that and like kind of end results.
Sure. Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Well, I mean, that first launch went awesome, and I was really happy, and Kate was really happy because, you know, she got an affiliate commission, so, I mean, you know, she wasn't hurting from my success either. And that's a great thing about affiliates, you know, I mean, a good one will want you to succeed, will want to help you succeed. And some about copywriting, if you're a good copywriter, you'll provide swipe, you know, email copy that other people can use to promote your stuff. The affiliates can use to promote, to send away. But a really good copywriter or a really good person who really wants to succeed in their affiliate launch will ask. Here's what I did basically. I mean, I asked, can you send me a whole bunch of letters that you've already sent in the past to your list, you know, whatever reasons, and I would take it and I would write my swipe copy so it sounds like it was written by that person to their list.
wow. So the service you were delivering, like not only were you delivering service on the customer end, we're calling them and saying, I personally set up your account. But then when people were promoting for you, you went and wrote personal copy for each of their lists based off of
Depending
what they
on
already said.
depending on the person. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if someone's like, "Hey, I want to be an affiliate," and I've never heard of them, and they're like, "Yeah, I have like 100 people on my list, yay!" Or I just got started. Well, great, you can promote mine. I'm not going to write you something,
Right, right,
so specific. At the same time, with 100 people, you don't have anything that's they don't know their list that well yet. They
right,
haven't had like those thousands of interactions to really statistically significant is what like with split testing. If you just run like 100 sales to it, and those get split up, 333, that's not statistically significant. Run like 2,000 visitors through a site, that's a little more statistically significant. And I would write to my big affiliates. I would write custom copy, custom swipe for them. I would also make custom graphics that if they wanted anything that they needed, I would provide.
oh, that's
And I
awesome.
would be like, what can I do to make this easier for your people to buy this? Basically, is the thing, And additionally, though, I was talking about testimonials. Well, get testimonials from your affiliates as well.
Right,
That, hey, this was a great promotion, this made me a lot of money, or this is a great product, my people loved it. In fact, I had a testimonial from Kate in my video sales letter. Like, so the regular people, not just affiliates, would see it. She was like, "Hey, this is Kate Buck Jr. and Ori has been like my tech superhero. He is my go-to guy when I'm crying in the middle of the night. Ori is the guy I call to come and fix it. And I have this course on blah blah blah. And I." So she was telling the story as from the other side about why she recommends me to all her students and how they love it.
right, right,
I was able to take a separate testimonial, get testimonial from your affiliates that your product converts well, that your product solves the problem, and so on. And with that, you can leverage that to get other affiliates. Another thing, like I said, ask for referrals. If it did well for someone, be like, hey, can you connect me with who else do you know who's got a similar list whose people could benefit from my, and again, when I say list, it doesn't have to be a list. Who else has a business whose clients can, just like don't take everything literally. That's another great tip. But so you take those testimonials and then also ask for referrals. And if someone gives you a testimonial, they're that much more likely to give you a referral as well. So through my success with Kate, I was able to take that. And now I'd also done my split testing, so I had conversion numbers and stuff. So I was able to get Laura Betterly, Ryan Dice, Diane Hockman, and so on and so on. And a lot of these, a lot of industries, a lot of people spy on each other's things. So, Mike Dillard promoted through his Better Networker group, and then because that's aimed at MLMers, like multi-level marketers, a lot of the other multi-level marketing marketers also were like, hey, can I be an affiliate? I saw Mike's promotion. So when you get one big one, other people are going to see it and they're going to want to promote it. If nothing else, a lot of people follow the big dogs. If Ryan Dice is doing something, it must be good. It must be a good product. I want to promote it, and so on. Again,
so
earlier I said go to events, meet people, shake hands. A lot of times, if people know you, and you're at an event, like, oh, what do you do? Oh, like my answer to what do you do is usually ridiculous, but a lot of people are like, what do you do? And say, well, I have a few online courses that I have the easiest WordPress course ever, designed for people who are not technically, for people who are technically challenged, and it's fantastic. Like internet marketers, beginning internet marketers seem to love it. They're like, oh, well, my people could use that. Or if someone tells you what they do, oh, I have a course for veterinarians on how to grow their business. What do you do? Oh, it's funny. I have a course that teaches veterinarians how to set up their websites. Real easy. They don't have to be very good at tech. You know, personalize it. Like I was personalizing the swipe copy to the various lists, and personalizing the graphics. Personalize how you present yourself, your business. That can help you get a lot of stuff. But yeah, so I had and buy people drinks. That's always a good one. Yeah, go to events, have a good time with people, just show people a good time. In life they tell you people aren't going to remember what you said or what you did, but they're going to remember how you made them feel.
Yep.
I got a lot of jokes. I'm genuinely interested in people. I mean, if I don't tell you anything about myself, but we meet, I just sit there fascinated and just ask you questions about you the whole night, and I go, oh, I gotta go. You're gonna be like, man, I like that guy. That guy's cool. They're not even people like to talk about themselves, and because my stories are so goofy and crazy, and I share the stuff that a lot of people normally wouldn't. People remember me, and there's the law of reciprocity. That's why like the opt-in, the free report and stuff is generally good. Think you're at the mall to give you the little chicken teriyaki on a skew, or you're probably going to go and buy the thing because they gave you something. Right. It might not be the best chicken teriyaki, but you're like, oh, they gave it to me, I should get there. And if you share some crazy secret stuff that most people wouldn't share, guess what the other people are going to do? Now you know them better than they do. Yep. Now I was talking earlier about knowing your audience in copywriting, in marketing, in creating your product. There's another way to use it. This is just something I did recently that was really fun. I have here's my notes. Little index card, but with like a couple of scribbles on it because I can freestyle. But there are a couple of things I want to make sure that I covered, and which I've already covered basically everything. But research, I didn't say enough about that. So if research a person, so again, if you know who your audience is, then figure out what are those people into. There's all sorts of if you figure out like what website, what magazines do people like that read, and so on. Okay, so and you can go to a site like Quantcast, and you can go to what's that site that starts with an A? That's a search engine, but Alexa. You go to Alexa. There's lots of things you can do now. I'm not going to bother going into all of that, but and you can. It shows you search. So let's say they like to read Oprah or something. I don't know, I'm just pulling stuff out of my butt right now, but then you can search Oprah, and Quantcast will show you what it will give you the statistics, demographics, and sometimes psychographics data on those visitors. Now you know them. And that's all fine and good, but I want to give like a real example where I use this not to mass market stuff. This stuff applies to everything. You want to get a business deal? You can run an ad on Facebook that just targets one specific person. And if the ad is, you know, about something very specific that they do or did or are, it's going to get their attention, and they're going to have to click on it. And then if there's a video on that website that they click on that feels like it's written just for them, you know, you're that much more likely to get their attention again and get a conversion. This doesn't have to be on mass sales. Recently, there's a guy that I wanted to get in touch with. My goal was to get on the phone so I could pitch him on doing a project together.
Mm-hmm.
Now this guy is super busy. He's a bit of a celebrity, and he's pretty expensive, and you know, there's no phone number, there's no way to get a hold of him, but he does have a custom work form on his website, you know, and it says, you know, usually you're just checking in a couple boxes, and then there's like room for a paragraph. And so this guy's, because he's kind of a celebrity, and celebrity is a great thing, you know, like if I'm doing art now, if Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie start posting that they bought some of my art, guess what? I never have to advertise again. Everyone's going to get it. You know, what is it, the George Foreman grill didn't really have much to do with George Foreman, other than that's a celebrity that they paid a lot of money to endorse it. You know, it would have just been the grill otherwise, and no one would have bought it. But because George Foreman's a celebrity, so, you know, getting a hold of a celebrity, getting a hold of someone, a little more difficult. But, you know, and again, this might just be like the CEO of a company that you're trying to get a hold of. So what I did was I filled out the form on his site, but before doing that, I spent 2 weeks researching this guy, like heavily. I watched every interview that he's done, and I took notes on them. So I knew that for the first year and a half of working, he never took a single day of vacation. And now he'll take like a single day like every 2 weeks or so. I know he's married. I know, you know, the occupation that his wife has. And again, like, I would go Google things, and I'd look up under Facebook, and, you know, try to find additional information on all the information I already found. I knew which items this guy wanted to get for his machine shop. I knew just all sorts of stuff, and then I took all this stuff and I made a single video, and I put it on YouTube. I made it private, and let me see if I can. And let's see what I wrote. Yeah, all right. So I told him a project that I had. Oh, hold on 1 second. Actually, I forgot to mention something. I actually tried to contact this guy initially, and I try to buy my way in, kind of like, I'm like, hey, I got this small project, and he replied politely saying, sorry, I can't take something that small right now. I was like, damn it, I figured, A, I could use the project, but B, I could connect with the guy. It didn't work. So actually, I forgot about that. I just found that now because.
But you didn't give up. You kept pursuing.
Oh, hell no! That's the most important lesson ever.
Persistence, right? Persistence.
Yeah.
It always pays off.
So this time I went to his custom commissions form. I put in the highest budget, the link to requested project. I put the link to the YouTube video, and I wrote a very, very short, like, I wrote, hey Harrison, I made a very short video that explains my project. I put the link there. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. So I didn't even fill in anything useful. on the form. He's got to watch my video now.
Right.
But the only thing I put in is, on the price checkbox, I filled in the highest price possible for a project. So now this guy knows that there's going to be, hey, it's going to be one of my highest paying projects, and there's a video that explains it. Okay. And in the video, and the response that I got was easily one of the more intriguing commission emails I've ever received. I'll give you a call midday tomorrow if that works for you. I've been trying to get a hold of this guy for like 2 months.
Right.
I tried to buy my way in.
But here's what I love about what you're doing. Like with direct marketing, it's all about personal communication. You want the one-on-one communication, and you're essentially doing it. You figured out the one person, and then you created a campaign just for him. It didn't work the first time. You went back, revisited it again. And even with your launches and what you were doing with that, it was still building those personal relationships, and that's what direct marketing is all about.
That's what life is all about.
It is. It's the best thing. You cannot replace those relationships. Oh my gosh, that's how you and I even got on this call. It's just one person referring. Yep. And anyway, I think that's the biggest lesson I've taken out of this is how you've leveraged all of today's technology online to apply it to building personal relationships and maintaining.
Can I add a tiny bit to that?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, right before you asked me to rewind and go back to the launch and what happened, I said, so I was in Maui, I, was inspired, like, why am I not doing this stuff? I'm going to be an artist. And that lasted about 2 weeks. I was like, damn it, that didn't work. So the next year, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about what I want in my life, what I don't want in my life. And I remember that feeling of heartbreak, looking at those galleries and knowing that I'm not doing that. And I said, I don't want that in my life, and I do want the creation. I've always enjoyed that. How am I going to do that? And I thought about my WordPress experience and how I kept flaking on it, and I wasn't, it was perfectionism, and I wasn't doing it until I had someone holding me accountable and busting my chops. And I said, all right, well, I'm just going to do that. Accountability, how can I use that? So I posted on Facebook, I'm going to post drawing every day, because I knew that somewhere out there is some a-hole who's just waiting to go, ha ha ha, you didn't post your, publicly, like, where is it? Guess what? It's now been like 1,020 days, and they still haven't had the opportunity to do that. In fact, I just put out a book on Kindle to celebrate my 1,000th day, which was just a few weeks ago, and if people go to FromStickFiguresToPicasso.com, it'll take them to Amazon. I leveraged my list to get it to be #1 on Amazon the day I released it, so now I get to say that I'm a best-selling author. But it's accountability that's kept me going, and now I actually am a really good artist. People are buying my art. People are, go to my Facebook, facebook.com/ori.bengal, or if you go to oribengal.com/year1, will take you to my Facebook album of all the drawings and paintings I did my first year. Year 2, so oribengal.com/year2 will take you to see the paintings I've done the second year, and year 3 is the one I'm in right now, and it's gotten really good. And it's not just like daily drawing became daily painting, became sculpture. I've done welding, wood carving, and again, I tell people I'm so lucky that I succeeded in marketing before I succeeded in art, and the reason is I wanted to get a 3D printer, but they're expensive. So I leveraged internet marketing. I did a Kickstarter campaign, which they can see at theupphillpursuitofpassion.com. You can't buy it now, but you can still see the videos. And it didn't go so well right away, so I made that's the equivalent of split testing. I made a new shorter video, because my first video was like 23 minutes. So I made like a 4-minute video instead, and that worked better. But I messaged people, and I sent out like 1,000 something messages on Facebook to let people know, hey, here's the project, and I would phrase the phrasing. It was cut and paste, but if I would cut and paste, but if there was something personal that I knew about that person, or that we have a relationship, or we talk or whatever, I put a little something about that, so it didn't feel like it's cut and paste. And you know what? I raised 25 grand in like a month to get my 3D printer, which I now got, and it's pretty cool. It's more of a pain in the ass than I hoped it would be, but the Kickstarter thing is all based on relationships, and people will share what you're up to if you have a relationship with them. So if you're posting on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and all you're posting every day is just the, here's our newest product or something. That's really what I'm doing with my paintings. I post every day, here's my newest painting. I've made it fun. I now, to get higher engagement, and higher engagement on social media means other people will see it, because Facebook shows people that, hey, Charles just liked this, or Charles just commented on this. The more people you have doing that, the more other people are gonna, 6 degrees of separation, are gonna see it. How I do that, I make it fun, I make it engaging. I write, hey, what should I call today's painting? I don't name my paintings. Saves me time, saves me, a hassle, and all these people chime in with sometimes really great, sometimes really ridiculous, whatever, and it gets other people to see it. It's fun, If anything, I told you, pursue your passion, defend it fiercely, but have fun. I mean, you might not be goofy. Not everyone's goofy like me. That's fine. But have fun in the way that you have fun. Don't just follow the instructions in the book and be like, oh, this kind of sucks, this is boring, but I know this is what I gotta do. Inject yourself into it. That's what makes your product different, your business. And look at Zappos.com. I mean, the stories about the employees at Zappos and the shenanigans that I remember seeing some guy got on the chat to do some customer service, and decided to speak to the customer service rep as if the customer service rep were Thor, the god of lightning from the Marvel thing, and the Zappos guy just ran with it. He's like, yeah, sure, and he spoke in like old Norse accent, like how it is awesome. You know what happened? It went viral, completely viral, because the dude posted it, Huffington Post picked it up, everyone started talking about it, things like that. Make things an experience. If you got employees, let them be themselves. Give them guidelines maybe on how to be themselves, like what's okay, what's not. But if people have fun, my clients have fun. I don't really get a lot of refunds because people enjoy my shenanigans, and if there's a problem, take care of it.
Yep. People have to remember about social media is, you can use it strategically and all that, but the main thing is, people are living life now, and it's a reflection of where they are in their life at that moment. Like you're saying with you sharing your paintings, and I mean, that's the biggest thing I've learned with it is it's just sharing your life. And if you have a WordPress course, great, share it, but it doesn't have to always be about, it's more about who you are and where you are in life. And I mean, social media just came about several years ago, and so it's like a brand new medium. I think it's the beginning of it, but
it's not going away.
It's not going away. I think we're in the infancy stage, but that's the thing. So just where are you now, and sharing that experience with people. I mean, and just connecting with them and building relationships. That's.
And there's some again, I can give examples with based on who I am and what. But translate these into what you're doing, right? So like, how can you connect with the big dogs? Earlier I mentioned about affiliate sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, uh, if I want people to notice my art, I can start doing portraits of the people who are big in those industries.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Last night, for example, what I did was there's this girl. She's got a brand called Silly Sticks, Stiks, and it's just these little sketches of kind of noodly stick figures doing their things, and people love this. Okay, well, um, she's got this character called Flip the Bird, kind of like Flip the Bird, but it's actually a bird, so that
Okay.
she gets, and it's called Flip. So it was her birthday, so I took this character she made, which is just again a little noodly sketch, and I made it in 3D, and I tagged her. She's never seen her own creation from all sides. I
Right.
allowed that, and then I know that one of her clients is extremely passionate about. She's got that bird wearing a pig costume, and that's called Flip the Pig, but it's still that same bird, just with a pig costume. And so I had someone send me a copy of that picture. I then created the pig costume for that, and I then, rather than just showing it as a picture, I actually put it into clouds and I made it look awesome and posted that and tagged her. Now she's like, oh my god, she's like, I, you're making me see this as something that I want to hold. I'm like, well, it's funny because I made it in 3D. I can 3D print it. I can actually, and I told her, I messaged her, I said, why don't you see if your audience, which is a large audience, would be interested in having a small sculpture of Flip the Bird, because I can, produce them if they are interested. And now we're going to split test. We're going to take a survey. We're going to going right back to everything that I've already said, just pronounced in a different way. But because I publicly already created this, already tagged her, all her friends and all her followers are now like seeing what I can do, and now we're going to do this. Now, let's say if you were, let's say, Charles, that you were a, super fancy, high end, like you're like a Frank Kern or something, and I wanted to connect with you. Well, how would I do that? Well, I could make a painting of you and post it online,
Mm-hmm.
but I would, rather than just making a painting of you, like if you were to make a painting of Tony Robbins, he probably wouldn't like it. It would, he might be polite about it, but he probably would take it down. He tells this story in one of his events, about how there was an event and one of the guys was an artist and painted this giant painting of Tony sitting on a throne, and he's like, that stands against everything I stand for,
Right.
right? But if you didn't do your research to find out who this person is and what they're into, you wouldn't know it. So, you know, uh, Jeb Corliss is a base jumper, total celebrity, is like one of the craziest people in the world. Now he's already made his he's done all these stunts with base jumping, so now he's getting into playing with sharks. Like he has, it's an actual condition, which basically means that fear works backwards. He can't help but do things that like scare people. So now, he jumps off things. He's gotten so injured, it's ridiculous. So if I wanted to make a painting for him, I could make a painting of him, like jumping, doing this squirrel suit flying with a shark or something ridiculous like that. I'd post that. His people would see that. He'd hear about it if he doesn't check his own social media, and so on. But even if you're not an artist, it's always great to get. Again, I'm just giving an example of what I do. You could do your service or product in a way that ties into this person, that you could post it publicly, where you're not being a jerk, where you're not being obnoxious, where you're saying like, hey, here's this cool thing I did. and you're doing it in a way because you've researched the person for like 2 weeks and you've gone through everything they've ever done so that you know exactly what they're going to like. You do that, and with your product or service, you might be having something goofy delivered to their office. I got a funny example I'll tell you in a second. But even if you're, so I was saying your product or service, you could hire an artist to make a really cool portrait like this and post it online and tag the person. Just since I know an artist. But a perfect example. I couch surfed with Jason Moffat. We're good friends now. I love Jason. He's another goofball. But part of Jason's success was that he was under Frank Kern's wings, so to speak. He was Frank Kern's golden boy. And I said, well, how'd you even connect with Frank Kern? And he said, well, I went to this one event, and there was, I forget the guy's name. There was this one dude that he wanted to connect with who was in, he heard he plays this game World of Warcraft. So Jason signed up for World of Warcraft and found this guy there and basically went around adventuring, killing and plundering and doing whatever the heck you do in World of Warcraft with this person. And you also have a chat, so you got to know him basically. Instead of saying, hey, I got some affiliate products or this and that, he went and played on his turf. Right. So if you like to go hunting, it's the equivalent of going hunting with the guy or golfing with the guy or whatever. And then they got to be friends, and then he got to talk about this stuff. And then he found out about Frank and all this stuff, and he found some stuff that Frank is into. And so, it was safe to say that Frank has a sense of humor. So Jason put up a website that basically said that Frank Kern is a cross-dressing hermaphrodite. That got Frank's attention.
Uh-huh.
And, but in a funny way. Now, I'm not telling you to go and do that with, like, the CEO that you're targeting of this major Fortune 500 company. Again, this is
your audience again before you do something like this.
This is why that research thing is really important.
They didn't have the sense of humor, and he didn't know who it was. That could easily backfire in a big way.
That would get you sued, shut down, right. All sorts of really bad things. But
right.
If you can get out of your comfort zone and be unusual, you will be remembered. Now, you will have more fun. People will go and seek you out. That's people follow me because, as I said, they want to know what shenanigans I'm going to get into. And I was out at dinner the other night. There were a couple of kids at the table. There were two teenagers. And someone was asking them if they're picky eaters, and they said no, and they're being very polite. So I just shout out, I'm a picky eater. I pick my nose and then I eat it. And, everyone just cracked up, like soda goes flying out of people's noses. My girlfriend turned kind of purple, like, she's a lot more proper than I am. And, but it was fun, it's live life. And, if you go, the cool thing about this, I told you now at least 2 times to follow your passion and defend it fiercely, and you can share what you're up to. Again, don't just share just your business. Share what you're up to. You're a person. You're going on a diet. Share that. I just excuse me. I just posted the other day, literally the other day, 2 days ago, that I was at this coffee shop, and the table next to me, there were 7 people with ukuleles, and they were playing all sorts of random music, and it was really.
I saw this post that you did. Absolutely, I cracked up when I read it.
I said, I'm going to start practicing. They asked me if I'm going to show up next month, and I said, yeah. So now I've got accountability. I've got a real deadline, 1 month from Wednesday, and there's going to be people there, so I don't really want to really suck, so I'm going to practice hard. And it's a ukulele. It's fun,
Yeah.
I already can do like a couple of chords and a couple of like songs from the radio. I'm not very good at them, but you know, again, I have a month, and now I got accountability. You know, like I said, just for next month. But I can get more followers or whatever. I can have fun with it. If I wanted to get someone's attention again. So you know, I was giving art as an example. I could write a song on the ukulele about someone and their business and post it online. You know, it's you just it's being ridiculous. It's putting yourself out there. And you know what? I constantly get messages from people like, say, at least a couple times a week. You know, telling me like how I've inspired them. You know, so by you following your passion and sharing it, you're inspiring, you're giving other people permission to live their lives. You know, I've got people back into drawing or taking it up for the first time, picking up their instruments again or picking instruments up for the first time, starting their own businesses, traveling, going on diets, like all sorts of crap. I mean, accountability, since it worked for me, like I said, I try to tie it into everything I do now, or at least everything I want to succeed at. And you know, I wanted to have six-pack abs. I've never had them before. I don't have them now, but I want to have them. And this is when I was 35. I was like, you know, I've never had six-pack abs, so I post on Facebook, hey, you know, my birthday's in December. This was like in June. I'm like, I want six-pack abs. So I'm going to post my weekly before-after photo. Like, so I'm basically posting a picture with no shirt on for, you know, 5 months every week. And you know what? That really motivates you to make sure that this week's picture is going to be better than last week's picture. And you think about that when you're like going to the buffet or whatever, you know,
Uh-huh.
like, oh yeah, should I have this McDonald's? Okay, but you know, you'll compensate for it. So, but it again, having the balls to do that, you know, everyone's like, dude, it encourages other people and it gets you respect. It gets you. If someone unfollows you, you know, think of a less scary version of this, the ice bucket challenge, right?
Hmm.
You know, everyone knows about the ice bucket challenge now. Everyone got into it. You know, that was something that's safe. All you do is dump some water on your hand. But some people really got creative with it. I mean, I saw some dude, some football player, went to like on top of a mountain in Alaska and had a helicopter scoop up ice water from the like fjord nearby and dump it on him. There were women posting, you know, videos of themselves naked or just wearing a little tape over their nipples and doing the thing. Bill Gates built some kind of like better mousetrap device that, you know, to this thing goes and this thing goes and all of a sudden it dumps all the water on him. Like, it's something that people could get into. And, you know, so
It's about
creativity.
experience, the experience. You know, like people have sharing the experience in life and connecting through that experience. I think that is so much of social media, like you're saying. You know,
Yeah,
it's
you know, look, but I'm not just referring to social media. I'm saying like life in general.
it,
When someone meets you, it's you. If you enjoy your life, if you tie that into, and again, that doesn't mean like going out and getting crazy drunk or doing crazy drugs or going to stripper clubs or whatever. I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. You know, like I'm not saying not to do any of that stuff either. I'm saying, but like figure out who you are, what you're about, and tie that into everything. Like you can share stuff. You are more than your business. You are a person. You have interests and stuff. Just like I told you to research your audience, research yourself and share that because you know look, someone who might not give a crap about your business at all, but then just thinks like, dude, I follow that guy. He's interesting, or he shares cool things. You know, best cat pictures on the internet, whatever. Um, they'll go and they'll refer people. They'll be like, look, I don't really care about your business, but you know, I got this client here who is he could really use your stuff. You know, I really appreciate you sharing every day or whatever. Like that's I made a connection. This guy just bought like 30 of your whatever. Like it's all about connections. You know, life is fun. So this, Charles, is why I told you, yes, I'm going to cover copywriting, but there's going to be a couple other things, but really it all ties together. And all copywriting, you know, read a whole bunch of books on it. Absolutely, read everything about it because you're not really learning writing. You're learning storytelling, and you're learning about people, what makes people tick. So read, you know, Win Friends and Influence People is a great book that changed my life by Dale Carnegie, you know. But read things about people, but when you read copywriting and storytelling stuff, it applies to everything. You know, whether you're trying to sell your significant other on why y'all should go to this particular restaurant instead of the crappy one that they want to go to, and you know, or you're trying to get people to buy your art, or you're trying to connect with a celebrity, or you're trying to, you know, get into a club or a restaurant that won't let anyone in right now. Like, it's all storytelling and copywriting. This stuff applies to everything. And if nothing else, you when you learn about people, when you really get people, you you just have more fun, like with any of the interactions. And so, yeah, I think I've more than covered everything on my
I
little
think you
index card of
have, man.
scribbles.
I think you've over-delivered in all kinds of ways. You know, most of these are been about an hour, and I think we're pushing hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours. I'm not sure exactly, but wow.
Yeah, how many of your other presenters brought a ukulele?
I don't think anybody's brought a ukulele, only you, Ori. So that alone is awesome.
So yeah, well, you know, I mean,
So
and that's another great tip, by the way. Over deliver,
over-deliver. Yep,
over
yep. So
deliver.
final thoughts or anything you'd like to say before we end um, to wrap this up? Share that with
Absolutely,
us, man.
absolutely, very important one. If you've learned anything today, my final thoughts, you know, that are important. Very important life tip. I mean, I've given a bunch, but this one: don't eat yellow snow.
There you go.
No,
Words from
I
the
think just
Ori, right?
connect with me. I love connecting with people. I mean, you know, like I said, facebook.com/ori.bengal. Check out my art. You know, I mean, I post it every day, a new stuff, and I also post lots of offensive jokes and all sorts of random shenanigans. And I now I just made a bunch of my prints available. Get my book. It's on Kindle. It's like dirt cheap, and it'll tell you a little bit about my story and show you a whole bunch of my art.
Yep.
That's on From Stick Figures to Picasso.com, and go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Ori Bengal, and there you can actually be a patron. And you can support the arts. I got different reward levels for people who support different levels. And that nice thing about it is that Facebook filters what you can and can't see. That's what I don't like about it. They decide if your post is going to show up at everyone's post or not. So with Patreon, you'll get an email daily, you know, that, hey, here's my new piece and all that good stuff. But yeah, connect with me. I was looking to do cool art. I was looking to meet cool people, and I guess one last thing really is, I mean, I've kind of implied it, but ignore other people. I mean, I told you to connect with them. And I don't mean like to that, but like, if you got an idea, um, you know, people are going to try to protect you, and by protect you, they're often going to try to limit you. So if you got an idea, you want to do a business, you want to implement something you learned here today, whether it was on my presentation or anyone else's, you want to be the best ukulele player in the world, whatever it is, you can do it. Just start, you know, like you can learn on YouTube, you can learn books, you can find a mentor, whatever, it doesn't matter. you're gonna start off and you're gonna suck, and then you're gonna improve, and then all of a sudden you're gonna be great. And if you listen to the people at the start, and you know you're not gonna do it. I like if you're gonna go on a diet and you're gonna start posting your weekly pictures, your close friends or relatives are gonna be like, hey, isn't that gonna be embarrassing? I mean, you're gonna show people like pictures of you in your underwear. I mean, that's not proper, and that's embarrassing. What are people gonna say? Who cares? You know what? Have fun with it. Just follow your own passion, and be polite about it. Be like, what? That's great advice. I'm going to do this anyways. Whatever. You know, I've I've had lots of things that I hadn't done that I want to because people were mean when I was first starting out with my art, and that's why. And someone just last night was telling me how much I inspired them. They're like, to tell you the truth, they're like, I really used to like to draw, but like I haven't posted anything because it's not good enough to show yet. I'm like, well, the secret is to go ahead and show it now, anyways, and then you're going to be inspired to make it really good. You don't want to have regrets, so just do your thing, and if someone doesn't like it, tough.
That's okay. You're still doing your thing, So
Yeah,
I think
years later, while you're still happy, they're still going to find reasons to complain, and that's they're going to be unhappy, and you might actually even lose some friends. That's
that's
a
okay
little
too.
tribal mentality is like if you and I are buddies and we're sitting there playing Nintendo every day after work, or and then all of a sudden I'm like, I heard about this internet marketing thing. I'm going to start doing it, and you're gonna be like, well, but isn't that going to cost you money? Aren't you going to have to like invest in courses? You'd be like, yeah, but these people are talking about making like tens of thousands of dollars every month. And I think that might be better than what we're making here at McDonald's, and you're gonna be like, well, no, but what if you get fired because they find out you're doing something outside? Whatever the things are, people want to keep you at their level because there's a couple of fears. There's one that I might leave you. If I succeed, why would I still want to hang out with you? Or two, if I succeed, it means that you could do it too, and thus it means if I succeed, now you're going to have to get off your ass and actually work hard and do things. So you may lose some friends who are just going to resent you for following your passion or succeeding in your business, whatever it is, when they're not
Well,
because they don't want to do it. So
or I often tell people, like success doesn't happen overnight. You always hear about the overnight success, and this is the last
every
thing.
over, every
And
overnight success is 10 years in the
it's
making.
10 years in the making. So, for this example, one last question for you, then we'll wrap this up.
Sure.
Just a couple of minutes. So, from the time you did your launch, all right, to you launched with Kate's product, right, and then the affiliates started picking it up. How long was that overall process before you actually saw like all the affiliates jumping in and promoting for you and stuff?
Practically overnight. But I
That
don't,
was
I don't, I don't guarantee that for everyone. I'll tell
right.
you why. Because I had already, um, a lot of people in the industry already knew who I was. I mean, I'd already couch surfed
Right.
with some of the heads of industry. Like I said, I couch surfed with Jason Moffat and Perry Belcher. So I'd already made friends with the people. That's why I told everyone, like on here, your viewers, to go to industry events and buy people drinks, and just be ultra curious about people and share who you are and what you're about and get those personal details about them as well, and connect with people, because when you do have something, then they will, when you are ready, don't say, well, I'm going to wait till I have a product to go to these events. No, go now, connect with people, and when you do have a product, you'll have friends that you can be like, hey, I got this thing, and they're that much more likely to share than if they just met you and you say, here, sell my crap. But so for me, it was a lot of people already knew who I was. They'd seen me at events. They'd seen me. I'm the only marketer to get a head wound at a marketing conference. I mean, come on. Like I had to get head stitches at Yonex Underground. But that's another funny story. And you know what? Like 5, 6 years later, I still have the people who met me at that event going, dude, you're crazy. I still remember when you'd split your head open. You know, again, not telling you to do that. I'm just saying, like, go connect with people, go have fun, be genuine, and when you do have something, they'll promote it. I was friends with Kate. I found what her needs were. I went and delivered to her and her clients, and she was happy. And she was happy to recommend me to other people. But a lot of these other people already knew who I was. They already knew me, and they see that I live with passion. It's hard not to see that following my Facebook. So they're like, oh, this should be good. And now we got Kate's recommendation. Great, And then some people I would contact. And again, just like I said about ignoring people, and some people are going to tell you no.
Right, right. Well, that's
Boo-hoo.
awesome, man.
Try again, or find a way to customize it so that it does work for them. Ask questions. If someone says, no thanks, be like, why not? Don't be a jerk about it, but be like, hey, what could I do to make it work? It might just not be compatible. They may already have a vendor. They may whatever, but contact people. Be creative. I'm not all about the hustle. If Matt Basak has a course that Dan Kennedy actually had sold. It was a recording of a presentation that he did for Dan's people. So look up Matt Basak. He's got a great course on how he broke ClickBank, basically made the #1 largest launch in ClickBank history with affiliates. His was a lot more about the promotions and that kind of stuff. That's my thing, is about having fun, just having a great product and having connections, and then delivering great service. Like I said, good copy. But remember, I give you little tips on this stuff. I've covered that copywriting is great and blah blah blah, and I've told you all these other skills. One of the things I guess I didn't really cover that much in depth on my I implied it, but I didn't flat out say it, so I'll go ahead and do that. Learn how to do everything yourself. Remember, that was one of the core values of my WordPress course, that if you do it yourself, you're not going to be taken advantage of by some jerk web admin, web designer, and so on, who's going to lock you out and charge you lots of money. Same thing applies to everything. Internet marketing, direct response marketing, whatever you want to call it. Graphic design, learn how to take a little bit of time and do it. At least try a little bit, so that when you do deal with someone, you understand what is involved. So when they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be like $8,000 because it's going to blah 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 blah, you know that they're full of crap, or you know that they're giving you a great deal because maybe it really is a complicated thing, but you know what's involved. Also, what I've seen happen sometimes is that people will flake out in the middle of your launch, in the middle of really bad stuff. So if you have at least taken the time to learn how to make websites and how to do graphic design, how to do video editing, and how to do this and that, you can pick up where that person who flaked out left you hanging high and dry. Because I have all these different skills, video editing, copyright, graphic design, web design, blah, 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 the list goes on, and I love to learn. So if someone tells me something that I don't know how to do, I'll be like, oh yeah, sure, I can do that, and I'll go figure out how, because it's easier now than ever, literally, to learn anything. Colleges, Ivy League colleges are giving out free courses on their stuff. You won't get the degree, but you'll have a Harvard education if that's what you want. So the point is having all these different skills. I had an idea, like for I succeeded on my Kickstarter campaign. So I was at a coffee shop, and I'm like, I should make a course about this. So turn on my webcam, write a script about who I am, what my success was, why they should get this, and that I'm about to do this course where I'm going to teach this, and I already have another friend who succeeded in raising $36,000 for this Batman fan movie that he's done, and we're gonna do this together, and so put in your name here, and as an opt-in thing if you'd like, and I posted it. So I made the website, I bought the domain, I wrote the script, I made the video, I uploaded it to YouTube, I embedded it on the thing, I put an opt-in form, I shared it on social media, it went kind of viral, I got lots of people opting in, and then I didn't make the course because I thought about it, and I was like, what, I'd rather make art. It's going to be something that crowdfunding is always changing, so I don't feel like updating the course and blah, 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 so I'm just not going to do it. But the point was I was able to spit all this out at a coffee shop in like one evening, where normally I would have had to, if I was an average person, I would have had to like outsource to like 5 or 6 different people, whatever, even if it's 1 or 2 different people. And you have to send them your stuff and hope that they do it at a good quality, and then they send it back to you. If nothing else, you could do a crappy version and then take that to someone who's good and say, okay, so here's kind of what I want, but I want it to be better than this.
Right.
Yeah, so learn to do everything. It's if nothing else, it'll keep your brain alive, and you won't get Alzheimer's, and you'll stay young forever. So
That's awesome,
always be
man.
learning.
Well, Ori, thank you for everything, man. Thank you so much for all your time. Thank you for spending, just over delivering and providing value, man. I can't thank you enough on all of this. So I hope this is the beginning of our friendship also. I appreciate you reaching out and doing this for me. So anyway.
Well, good luck with your kid, man. I mean, that's what
so
it's about,
He's a trooper, man. You talk about hitting bottom points, man, and going through that with him, that was pretty much my bottom point. And like shutting your whole business down to be there for your son, so you can see him through what he was going through. But it's who I am, and today he's doing awesome because of that, and and that you can never replace. So anyway, thank you for this, and I can't thank you enough, man. I really appreciate all your time and help. So
my pleasure, man. Keep me posted, and for the people viewing, thanks for being here. I hope to hear from you and connect with you, and if nothing else, like I said, ignore everyone. If you hear some great advice here, or even good advice, or even some mediocre advice, anything on this during this conference, this summit, whatever you want to call this thing, go ahead and implement. Don't worry about being embarrassed. I mean, look, I'm playing my ukulele in front of you, and we haven't even met. You're a total stranger. I totally suck at it, but I'm still doing it. This is going to go to like thousands of people, so I should be mortified. But you know what? It doesn't matter. So, and this is just a ukulele. Implementing something in your business that you might upset your business partners who are like too conservative. No, we shouldn't play on this internet thing. It's just a phase. No, social media, we might look bad. You look bad by not doing it. You're gonna look back later. You're gonna wish you had done it. And if nothing else, I'll give you one last quick story, just because it comes from one of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet, Tony Hsieh, the CEO of Zappos.com, which is, got bought out by Amazon. Before it got bought out even, it was a $1 billion+ a year company. The guy sold his first company like right out of Harvard, for $360 million, split between him and his partner. That's why Zappos was possible, because he had this money. He sold his first company, he became a venture capitalist, and he really liked Zappos and blah blah blah. But so I was couch surfing with him. I'm crashing at Tony Hsieh's house. I'm interviewing, and I say, Tony, so you sold your first company for like a whole lot of money. And do you think that had anything to do, like, is that because like you're Asian, or is that like, because you went to Harvard, you got Harvard education, or is that because like you went and you're just a natural entrepreneur and that's the thing? And he said, dude, I was the laziest student that Harvard has ever seen. Like, I did not go to any of my classes. I would only go to take the final exams. And even those, he's like, I crowdsourced the studying. I basically set up, they had a bulletin board, like, the equivalent, I guess, of a Facebook group now, but, without pictures and stuff back in the day. And he said, so I got everyone, and I said, let's make uniform notes for everyone. If everyone contributes, everyone will take a chapter and write their notes on it so that we can, like, really good notes, because all you have to focus on is one chapter, and we'll all share that. I'll compile it into one thing that we all have. Guess what? He had more people than he excluded himself. So everyone else did all the notes, and then he just compiled it into one book that everyone had to study from, and he kicked ass on all his tests and stuff. And I said, wow, that is awesome. So that's good to know. So I'm like, but that's you being lazy. Like, you having the Harvard education, does that have anything to do with it? Like, do you recommend that people go to? He's like, no. Like, you recommend that people go to college? He said, well, look, if you're going to go to college, you're going to spend like a ton of money. He said, like, even if you go to a community college, he said, you're going to spend like 40, 50, 60 grand, whatever, and he said, the best education is just doing. So even if you were to, just take that 40 grand, whatever it is, community college, you're going to go to like a bigger college. I mean, hell, you're going to spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just crazy debt. So if you just took that money instead of going to college and you just started a business, even you're going to learn more than you would at school. Even if that business crashes into the ground, you're going to learn more about, what to do, what not to do, than you would going to college. And so the same thing here, you're afraid of implementing because it might fail. You might not succeed with it. Well, yeah, but you will have learned something from it. Now you can do it again, and you might succeed. Actually, I got one last tiny story that actually just about that very point, which I'm actually embarrassed about, which is why I have to share it, because it's a stupid mistake that I made having to do with this, and I only share it because it can better other people's lives, not because I'm so great because of it. In 2000, I was living in South Beach. I was dating this girl who was kind of a dingbat, but her mom was all into galleries and stuff. Like, she was working with galleries and such. And this girl told me that, I was just making the occasional drawing on my computer, nothing crazy. And she said, your stuff is really good. And, I was like, yeah, whatever. And she shows it to her mom. And her mom's like, art is great. You have to do an art show. Now, like, okay, well, whatever. I just implemented. I didn't do the research that I would do these days. I learned a lot about how to do things now. Like they say, hindsight is 20/20, especially when you're standing behind a really obese person at the checkout line. But so they said do an art show. I said okay. So I just looked in the local paper, saw there was this like art show thing. Well, I applied, I got accepted, so I had all my art printed and laminated and all, I spent all this money on it, and I borrowed my friend's trade show booth, which actually required me to get a U-Haul truck and to run electricity because it was all lit and brushed aluminum and all this stuff. Like, I got cut up just setting this thing up, and everyone else shows up, and they just got these little crappy fold-up tables you get at the hardware store, and they're just doing little beads and little drawing. Like, I'm the only one who's got a trade show booth. I'm the only one who's got a thing that's actually lit up, and it turns out it wasn't even like really an art show. It was more like like this third Tuesday or whatever, your city has. Every city's got its first Friday, third Tuesday, whatever, thing where people just walk around and look around, and maybe they'll buy. They're not there to like buy stuff. So really, it wasn't even an art show. But you know what? I didn't sell anything, and I went through all that work, and so I figured I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just not an artist. And I stopped drawing. I stopped painting. I stopped, not that I was doing like a lot of it, but I was doing it. I stopped doing it for like another 10, 11 years when I went to those galleries in Maui and I got that heartbreak. Now, I've gotten really good over the last 2.5 years, over the last 1,020 days of doing it every single day. I'll do it no matter what. It's pissed off my girlfriend at times. She's like, I want to go to sleep. I'm like, I'm sorry, I haven't finished my painting. I got to do this. But imagine if I'd been doing it for the last 14 years instead of the last 2.5 years. Oh my God, I would be freaking incredibly good. I would have had like a lot more joy in my life and all that stuff, all because I tried something half-assed without even doing the research about what goes into it, or and I didn't succeed at this crappy art show that's got nothing to do with the art world. It's got nothing to do with people aren't even there to buy, and that's where I decided, oh, I'm not good, I'm not an artist, and I quit for all these years. I'm fortunate enough to where I got back into it and I recognized what had happened, and so now that's why I say defend it fiercely and with passion. But imagine if I'd done, these days if someone said go in an art show, what I would do is, first of all, if I was to choose one like that, I would go and attend one to see what it actually is about, instead of just, decide just jumping in like that and that's that. So this isn't about how to do an art show. This is about your business, direct response, marketing, anything. I mean, it might be ukulele playing. Whatever you take away from this conference, like, implement. And if you suck at it, good. You can only improve. Try again. Try again. Try again. Keep trying. Like, most people give up after 1, maybe 2 tries. Do 7, do 14 tries. Guess what? You'll be better than most people already. You will succeed. So yeah, don't give up on changing your life, on changing your business, on changing other people's lives just because you sucked that first day. I mean, that's.
So I think my takeaways from our whole conference to sum this thing up, man, is defend your dreams passionately, and ferociously. Build relationships. Be accountable.
And play the ukulele.
And play the ukulele. That's right, man.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I just again, Ori, I thank you so much for your time and all your wisdom and how you've done things and built relationships and used all the internet technology to do it. And anyway, I can't wait to talk to you again soon. I think that will be another exciting time, man. So thank you for everything. So Ori,
Bye, everyone.
y'all have thank you, Ori.
Take care.